welcome. A couple of years ago I recorded a audio episode about dealing with difficult family members or a difficult situation over the holiday period. And I wanted to revisit, to offer a recording for this upcoming Christmas period, where likely there could be more interactions with family, friends. And for some, there may be many interactions, there may be many dinners, many social situations dealing with challenging people, and for others there may be few or potentially just dealing with ourselves. That could be also challenging company. Quite often the dinners, the social situations, they begin well before the actual event takes place. There's an announcement, a family announcement about this date being booked and make sure you're free and these people will be coming, and immediately there's perhaps a sense of dread or fear or worry, anxiety. It's already begun. The dinner has begun, even weeks in advance. Yeah. So quite often, perhaps you can respond to that. Our natural response or reaction, more accurately said, our natural reaction is to try and perhaps suppress that. Think, okay, I'm not going to try not to think about that until. And there's almost an unease, a dis-ease in that action of trying to push something away. And perhaps another response to that can be preparation. And the word preparation can seem quite overwhelming, of all of these things I've got to do, and oh no. But you can simply take a few minutes, set aside to sit down in a quiet place and just, okay, there's so many challenging people there that I know I'm going to have a reaction to, that there's going to be some pain coming up. Okay, what can I do? Sometimes thinking ahead about that situation, of having a couple of simple things in mind, a couple of simple remedies for those situations, it can help bring ease to it. So instead of crashing into that situation filled with anguish and fear and dread, you glide into it. You glide into that fire. So there can be many things that can be done. I use the word remedies. perhaps before going into that, let's call it a family situation, there can be some time set aside to be centered. Perhaps the morning of that family situation, you can set a time aside to do an activity that brings groundedness, calm, gentle energy, centeredness. And perhaps already that will bring some protection for that situation. Whether it's to have a morning walk, to do some reading, to do a meditation, listen to a spiritual talk, perhaps absorbing some meditation music as you drive or travel to that destination. So perhaps there is the sense you may have some control before entering of how the energy of how you enter that situation. Of course, you can enter it with lots of worked up anger and frustration or anguish, filled with thoughts that are generating these emotions and generating more thoughts. Or you can, as I said, glide into that situation from a rootedness of being centered, knowing you're going into perhaps what can seem like an adversarial, a toxic, a difficult situation. And as I think about being in that difficult situation, there are some things you can do. Perhaps there is, say for example, you're in a heated conversation with a family member, or they're asking probing questions, judging comments. Perhaps there's always the option to excuse yourself from the table, to go to the bathroom and have a few minutes of quiet, a few minutes of safety, a few minutes of rooting yourself back into the present moment, if that is needed. Or if there's a garden, or even walking out of the front door to go for a walk. Something I've done before, where I've said I just need 5-10 minutes of fresh air and I'll be back. And you may not need to explain more than that, just need 5-10 minutes alone and I'll be back. And you can even sort of plant that seed beforehand. You can always sort of give a hint that, okay, it's going to be a difficult situation for me, so when you do take the action, certain people will know, oh, okay, yes, you mentioned before that it might be a difficult situation, and it's understandable for you to go outside, so it will be less of a big deal. Sometimes for me, and I'm sure this could be true for others, where you don't want to draw attention to yourself and create any sort of drama or big deal, where, let's say, if you were to excuse yourself from a dinner, then in your mind you could probably sense, people thinking and even saying, oh, what's up with that person? Why are they, if I said something wrong, why, then it creates even more to return to, more questions of why did you leave, or where did you go, and all of that. So perhaps there's some things that can be done that will sort of lay the groundwork there. So if you need to exit for a certain period, if you need to get a break, you've laid the groundwork for that. Even if you were to arrive at the family situation and there was an approachable person, you could say, at some point I may excuse myself just to get some fresh air. I can sense it may be a lot for me today, and that could be useful as well. And a few simple reminders of things I'm sure you already know, that when you are in the midst of a difficult interaction, to be the compassionate listener of this person, whether the words that they are saying are a complaint or something you've heard 1,000 times and again you've got to hear it. Okay, can I listen deeply to what they are saying? You don't have to interpret or judge, just be the space for that, the effortless space. As we've used the analogy of a room, the space of a room, it has no resistance to who enters the room. It doesn't pick and choose, it doesn't have feelings for one person or another, a preference. It's just an effortless space. And it's not to say it's not going to erase all of the difficulty, the pain of perhaps being in that person's energy, but it's probably preferable to be in that space of centeredness, of awareness while listening, versus being in a state of suffering, of thoughts of, oh, God, every year, every time I see this person, they complain about this again, and I really can't hear it. And another way is to go into your body as they are. Let's stick with the complaint, or perhaps a judging comment on your life, of how your life should have been by now. Perhaps that's the narrative they've chosen. Go into the body. What's the body saying? Okay. Feel the inner energy field of the body as you hear the words, their viewpoint on you. You can perhaps feel the narrowness, the constriction in their body, and you can feel the freedom in yours. You can just stay, and it almost becomes a buffer to the interaction, where you're not hearing it and reacting to it. You're not constricting yourself in your mind or body. There is an awareness that, okay, this person here, perhaps you can, in a non-judgmental way, you can acknowledge, it's a lot of unconscious talking coming my way about the so-called me in this situation, where in essence there is no you to be offended by that. There's just the deep-rooted inner energy field of the body, and you're just simply enjoying that. And naturally there'll be a space around their words. It's almost impossible to feel their words directly when you are connected with your inner energy field. And of course there is a direct approach to, if there's the opportunity to do so and it feels safe to do so, to simply say, I prefer not to talk about this. Would that be okay? Or whatever words are appropriate at that time with this person. It's something that it can often be very difficult to say, but in a place of complete desperation, those words may fall out of the mouth. I'm sorry, I can't talk about this. Can we talk about something else? And it may break their unconscious pattern, quite often when it's coming at you like that, like a waterfall coming at you, then it may suddenly break that, and it may jar them almost out of their unconsciousness. Oh, I didn't expect that, you to say that to me. Okay. And then you can, steer the conversation elsewhere, whether it's to ask them about themselves, or if there's a safe conversational subject. So just a very few simple pointers, reminders of, again, things you already know. And perhaps if there isn't a choice to not go to some of these family functions or other events or situations that can be challenging, then at least there's the reduction of suffering there. And even after the situation, quite often the dinner continues. As I said, even weeks before the dinner, sometimes it can begin with thoughts and apprehensions about it, and the same with afterwards. There can be the recap, the debrief in the mind and again it can stir up all of that disease, that emotion, that unease inside of us. So perhaps a reminder to be kind to yourself afterwards as well. At a dinner or family situation, you may not have been able to say what you wanted to say, and afterwards it could be, why didn't I respond in that way? I should have done this. And perhaps you can let go and just realize you did the best you could in that time. And afterwards you can try and be gentle and kind and almost go through a bit of a cleanse afterwards, whether it's to go for a walk or a meditation, or whether it's to watch something, to allow your mind to rest, to read, perhaps do some exercise or yoga or something that would help cleanse from that situation. A reminder that could be useful as well. So I'll leave the episode here. Perhaps a short few reminders is all that is needed. And I will of course wish you well, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.